were part of the ECW originals, and that kind of seemed to be the beginning of the end of your WWE run. Did you know it was coming to an end? Did you figure, right, this isn't for me anymore? When was the moment when you decided you were going to leave?
We already talked about this. As soon as Vince said, my referees have to have credibility, I have to have rules on all the matches, and we'll just have one Extreme Rules match per show to make it ECW, even though they have tables, ladders, and chairs and all kinds of other on the other shows, I knew it was done. I knew that he was betraying the fans of ECW, and I don't know for sure, but I don't really believe that he thought he was going to be able to create a whole new market of ECW fans. He might have believed that. I mean, the guy has, he does have an ego. And there was a point when I was talking to him like early on about, doing the ECW pay-per-view. And I was saying something about one of his ideas that I didn't like or something, and he was like, "Oh, Rob, nobody remembers the old ECW." Oh my God. Yeah, I said, why do you think that people are chanting EC-dub in every building every night? And he actually said this. He said, "We trained them to do that with the DVD." He actually said that. So maybe he thought that he could have a successful third brand, but I've always kind of felt like, I mean, did he bring it back to destroy it? Because one of the moments when I knew it was gone also was when he was the ECW champion.
The durag.
I was suspicious. I was very suspicious of his intentions at that point.
Well, you got out of Dodge, you left, and then you were in TNA for a while. And it always felt like, I remember you saying in an interview once that you were in TNA and you'd be going through an airport and they'd say, "Oh, I miss you, RVD. When can I see you?" And you'd be like, "I'm wrestling on Spike every week." Why do you think that TNA never got to the next level?
Man, I almost feel like they don't care. And I don't know if that's true, but I wrestled for them from 2010 to 2012, and I wrestled again for them 2019, 2020. Is that right? They always draw the same 700 people, it seems like. Not the same people, but I mean the same size crowd, and they don't seem too excited about any ideas for expanding brand recognition, things like that. They don't. The first time I tried working with them about different ideas about putting their brand on different products and stuff, but I think that they're comfortable. I really do, because the whole time I was there, the first time, wrestlers would tell me, outside wrestlers, "Hey, I don't know if you know the news, but they're not going to be around much longer. I don't want you to be surprised, your employer's not going to be around much longer." And then months later, we're still there. They'd say, "Oh, you know what, it's real now. I'm reading all over the internet. TNA is not going to last, so you better, I just wanted to warn you, you better be ready." And they never skipped a beat. They just keep going. I feel like they're funded somehow. And that they're just comfortable in their own little bubble, in their own world. Yeah.
What were the biggest differences working for Vince McMahon in comparison to working for Dixie Carter?
Oh my God. It's like working for a huge corporation and then comparing that to wrestling to someone, with just a few personnel that you're dealing directly. Because there's Vince, then he has his team of minions under him, they have their team of minions underneath them, and it's set up that way strategically in a good way, so that Vince has a lot of his issues taken care of. But there, it was a much smaller house. Dixie really wanted all of us to feel like we had a personal relationship with her. I feel like that was important to her, which was cool. But I also feel like she always just trusted people, and not in the best way. I think she trusted people, gave them money to make her money, and it's the wrestling business, and everyone's a hustler. So I think that she had a team of people underneath her that were serving their best interests. In fact, when I got there, I heard from somebody in the industry that there was actually, what's the word? Not sabotage, when you're stealing from within the company. Espionage. This is the word I'm looking for, not just stealing from the company. I legitimately heard names, and they would be the names that you would guess that were there when I went in 2010, when they were trying to compete with WWE and go live, They were the top guys there in the office, and, I was told that these guys were straight up just there, to bring the company down and fill their own pockets. And I heard some evidence that made it pretty believable. I don't know for sure that it was true, but whatever it was just another thing that Dixie shrugged off her, rubbed it off her shoulder and just kept going forward. And now the company keeps doing the same thing even without her.
Well, before we take the questions from the audience, I do want to ask you, you had that WWE run in 2013, 2014. You came back and did Money in the Bank. You wrestled Alberto Del Rio. Were you happy with that run?
So here's the thing about that. People don't know, but it was actually two different runs. 2013, I returned. I signed a 90-day contract. And they said, you want to look at the calendar and pick, what do you... I said, I'm yours for 90 days. So I wrestled 66 matches in 90 days. And that was coming over here on that trip, and Japan, everywhere, but also all over the States. It was very, very busy, just like it was before. And I had a great time, and they treated me great. And then a year went by after when I left even, some of the guys stooged off to me that Vince told them in the office, hey guys, if you get a chance, thank RVD for doing this tour. He made us a lot of money, or we made good money together, something like that. Thank him. I don't know if he told them he made money. Maybe he told me we made good money together. But if the camera guys or whoever were saying, hey, Vince told everyone to come by and thank you, because it was my last day. Nobody. One guy did. The guy that stooged it off told me nobody else said that, by the way. No one else even bothered coming up and saying thank you, even though Vince told him to. But Vince did, and he said, that we made a lot of money together, boom, boom, boom. Cool. And going into that, the conversation before I went there with Hunter was saying, Jericho has his band. When he's not on tour with the band, he lets us know, and we book him around that, and he comes in, does, picks his own schedule, works with the young guys, whatever. And I was like, I could do something like that, maybe. So I did the one tour, and it was great. But then I didn't hear from them again. Boom, boom, boom. A year goes by, and they're in my town in LA where I was living. So I went there to see them, and I went to Carano. I said, what, you lose my number? And I went in when they weren't looking to bring me in, but they were happy that I was there to use me, even though they didn't have plans, weren't prepared for me. I signed a 5-month deal at that point, and it was and I hated it. I hated it, because I was there to put everybody over the entire time. And instead of complaining, which I should have done, I should have, said, hey, here's my issue. But for a bunch of reasons, and that go into the thinking process with training, and the mentality of, hey, whatever, it's who do you think you're beating anyway? I had 5 months of finding disappointed day after day after day, and I finally said something when I had like 2 weeks left, and was told, oh, we didn't even realize that was going on. If you come back, we'll make sure you got everything planned, this and that, and this and that. But I left there. I left there not pleased, insulted, and the fans were also kind of disgusted with it. But in their mind, they didn't notice that there was a 2013 3-month tour that ended, and then a 2014 5-month tour, because there was no announcement that I was done to the people and no announcement that I was back. But for me, one was booked, there was nothing, and then a year later we booked that other one. It was night and day experience for me.
Well, now you're a WWE Hall of Famer, so I guess it's worked out in the end. You're in that. Give it up for Rob Van Dam, the Hall of Fame, everybody. Now you've told this story before. It's a pretty great story. Can you talk about managing to get the move with Rey Mysterio, managing to get it called the 420 by Vince McMahon?
Some of you guys know this story. So, which by the way, I saw Rey Mysterio and Riddle do this move on social media. Move that me and Rey Mysterio, Riddle, you guys know Riddle's the new RVD, but not only the RKO bro, but they're doing the 420 leg drop. Sabu and I actually did the 420 leg drop before that. And actually I did it with this dude Bobby Bradley in Vegas, like way back in '95. So that nobody knows that, so I was able to use it as a new move. But I would take Rey Mysterio's facing the same direction as me, and I would put his arm around my neck, pick him up, and while I pick him up, like an atomic drop, I would kick my feet out, and then all 4 of our legs would land on the opponent, and we end up like rolling back after we hit. That move I called the 420 leg drop, and one time Paul Heyman approached me before the TV, and he said, Vince wants to know why it's called the 420 leg drop. I said, it just is. It's the 420 leg drop. That's what we call it. And he says the announcers can't call it that if it's a drug reference. I'm like, just tell them something. And he said, what do you want me to tell him? He's like, he wants to know, is it a drug reference? And I said, no, tell him it's 420. We got 4 legs. 20 is our combined shoe size. I wear 12, Ray wears 8. That is pretty funny.
Someone here wants to know, was a heel turn ever discussed when you were in WWE?
Well, I started out as a heel because, and that's something too, if they really wanted ECW to be successful, would they have introduced us as heels on their own show? Because that's what they did, with the Alliance, WCW, ECW were the outsiders, the heels, but they continued that all the way through opening up the 3rd brand, and then as we're starting, they would have us come down through the bleachers and like attack the WWE guys in the ring, and have people boo us. And then we're like, watch us on Sci-Fi, after they hate us. But
even when you were in the Alliance, you got cheered the whole time. Even when you were in the WWE ECW, you got cheered. It seemed like people never wanted to boo you.
Yeah, true. And I don't remember another time in WWE where they wanted to make me heel. I wouldn't doubt it if the conversation happened, outside of my ears. But there was something that they really, really wanted to see an angry, pissed off RVD. Like that was so important to them. They really thought that's where the money was. And I would, push back against that because I'm not angry, And they're making me angry. Oh, here's a story. I did get angry one time, and that was during this time. But they would say like, "There's got to be some time where you just lose your cool and you're just like, rah!" And I was like, "Dude, you have every other wrestler that does that. Literally every other wrestler, and they stick their tongue out. That's not me. I said, if I get mad, this is a shoot, straight to the heart. When I get mad, I'm so disappointed in myself because I lost my cool. I found a flaw that I have to fix. And so they would always get me. And I was wrestling Jericho one time. And no, I'm doing a run-in. Jericho's out there for some reason. And I'm going to do a run-in and drop him. And all day they're trying to get me pissed off. They're like, remember, grrr. And I got it. I got it. And they're really getting on my nerves, you know, and they just think of something really, is there something, you know, that you can think of that really makes you mad? Just think, they really didn't think I could go out there and pretend that I'm mad. And it was like, I was so sick of everybody coming up to me. It really, literally pissed me off. And then right before Jericho went out there, he's in the curtain, and I know they told him, we've talked about it afterwards, and they told him, you know, try and get him mad. Right before he went out there, and I was already having some competitive abrasions working with Jericho due to politics. Right before he goes out there, before I'm gonna run out there, he goes, dude, just, you know, get really mad. I go, I know I got it. He goes, just, you know, like, act like I hit on your wife. Which I wish he would have taken my ex. You know, that would have saved me several years of pain thinking back at it. But for him to say that at that moment I just felt like it was so unnecessary, and I got so pissed, which is not normal for me. So I ran out there, bam, I punched him in the face like hard, you know, bam, 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 boom, he went down. I did the frog splash, boom. They wanted me to cover him and make my own count. He had the belt. He was a champion. And they wanted me to go 1, 2, 3 and take the belt. I was so pissed, I forgot to cover him. I did this splash and I grabbed the belt and I just like threw it at him or whatever. And I went out. I was so pissed, I had to grab my bag and just throw everything in it and leave in my wrestling gear. And I didn't cool down until like the next evening. Yeah, I don't have that much range in my, no.
The one night where Rob Van Dam got angry.
Yeah.
Would you consider a match with Matt Riddle since he's one of your big supporters?
Oh, hey. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I would consider anything. And by the way, I like Matt. You know, he's cool. He's a friend. And I think that would be a good match. It'd be cool. If you don't know, which you wouldn't know unless you heard like the one time, which you probably did. But I met Matt Riddle at the Playboy Mansion at a marijuana advocating party. Yeah. He was in the grotto hitting his little pipe that you pull a straw out of, the little tiny water gimmick. The water tastes nasty because it holds like that much in it. And I knew him from The Ultimate Fighter because I was watching that show. And that was years and years ago because Hef stopped doing the parties like forever ago. Yeah.
And he's dead.
And he's dead, yeah.